Hey cousins, happy Tuesday. We have so much to get into today. By surprisingly popular demand, I am finally giving my 2 cents on the biggest ghetto white girl rap beef that I have ever seen, as well as debriefing a few observations from the Oscars. And yes, I know what you're thinking, they still exist. But what shouldn't exist is Hasan Piker's Twitch account. We'll be discussing why the popular musty streamer's Twitch account got banned yesterday. And later in the show, there's an interesting new lawsuit brewing where an illiterate girl who cannot read and or write but yet graduated with honors and scholarships is suing Hartford Public Schools for a reason that I find interesting. But the biggest story today is Casey Anthony, the wench who totally didn't murder her baby and get away with it, is taking the most audacious road back into the public eye. I react to her full statement for the first time live today with y'all. Y'all know the vibes. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Welcome to Respectfully Xavier. You know, I gotta say, I'm disappointed that Black History Month is over. We had a really good run, but you know, it is March and it is always Black History Month. As my friend Janiyah says, we make Black history every day when we are proud Black conservative Americans. But now that it is March, it is double match season here at PragerU. You guys know that this show is in partnership with PragerU. You may be watching this on a PragerU platform right now. And PragerU has been impacting minds and millions of people for years, well over a decade now. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit. What does that mean? It means that our ability to exist is dependent on those of you who support us, sending in tax-deductible donations. And right now, there is a fantastic opportunity for you if you want to help keep PragerU videos free and keep impacting minds all over the world, reaching billions of views. Then right now, you can donate and your donation will be double matched, meaning every dollar you give, it's going to have double the value for this season. And just for perspective, $35 a month helps PragerU reach 20,000 people per year with our pro-American ideas and trying to restore common sense in the best way that we can. So please do head over to PragerU, check out all of our flagship videos like 5-minute videos, Real Talk with Marissa Strite, where y'all can learn how to actually run a business since nobody wants to work these days, and so many other amazing different shows and kids content as well. PragerU Kids, shout out to them. We'll be talking quite a bit about the education system today, but PragerU in schools has been sweeping the nation, and I cannot be any more proud to have this show with PragerU. Now, what I'm not proud of is how ratchet pop culture has gotten. Let's talk about some of these ghetto white girls, as I've been calling it, ghetto white girls galore. So do y'all remember the Catch Me Outside? How about that girl? Miss Danielle Bregoli, now known as Bad Baby. Yes, the H is on purpose. And for those who don't remember, let me show you her claim to fame over on Dr. Phil.
Nope. And all these hoes laughing like something funny.
She's talking about the audience, that they're laughing at her.
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yep.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
Yep.
This is so not funny. It is iconic.
Catch me outside.
You had to be there.
How about that?
Huh?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you outside? What does that mean?
What I just said.
Now, I'm not going to do too much on my girl Bad Baby, because if I talk too much smack about her, she will pull up on me, and I do not want her as an op. She sounds like a dangerous woman. And as someone who has been on Dr. Phil's show twice and has met Dr. Phil, and I know his demeanor and how cool he is, I cannot imagine what was going through his head when this teenage girl was up there acting a fool like that. But for those who haven't followed Bad Baby since then, she actually has made a very lucrative career for herself. Not only did she become a rapper with surprisingly decent music. I hate to say it, but Gucci flip flop bops. Sorry, the girl has bops. I hate to admit it, as ratchet as it is, she has bops on top of bops. But where she really made her money is and this really says a lot about society. I'm really still disgusted about this, and I'm still squinting at a lot of people sideways for this. The day she turned 18, she had made an OnlyFans, and she made, I can't remember the exact figure. If I remember correctly, she made $50 million in one day. it was the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen. How many people were just lurking for her like that and waiting for the day for her to turn 18. And since then, I can only imagine how many hundreds of millions of dollars she has made on OnlyFans. But this ghetto girl has nothing to worry about for the rest of her life. Now, why are we talking about her? And it's because she is now beefing with Alabama Barker, another white girl, a 19-year-old girl who is in ghetto culture and who is an inspiring rapper, and not inspiring, aspiring. Let me make that very crystal clear for y'all. And how she is famous is she is the daughter of the Blink 182 pianist, I want to say, Travis Barker. Drummer, my bad, same thing. Drummer. Mr. Rodriguez is a drummer, so he had to clock that down.
Come on, how could you say that? My goodness.
My bad. Travis Barker, he's talented. Isn't Blink 182 All the Small Things? That's one of my favorite Caucasian anthems. So shout out to Travis Barker. But his ghetto daughter is now beefing with Bad Baby, and we're not really going to get super deep into the actual beef itself because it's just your typical ghetto story, except some interesting details of the fact that Alabama pretty much slept with Bad Baby's baby daddy. And this was while Bad Baby was going through postpartum and also fighting cancer. And they were apparently friends before. And from what I've read on Twitter against my will, because this has been so unbelievably viral, is that Alabama wanted to be like Bad Baby and was asking her for advice and asking her for all these different things about trying to be her. And now they are beefing. Now, personally, Alabama, I wouldn't beef with a woman who has slapped her mother on live television, or not live televisions, but slapped her mother on television. Yeah, she did that. I'm pretty sure at least once. Bad Baby also tried to fist fight her grandmother on Dr. Phil, I'm pretty sure. So that girl really has nothing to lose. And even if she had everything to lose, which she does now, she's still ready to risk it all in order to stand on the business she feels needs to be stood on. Now, what's interesting about this situation and what I want to talk about is just the transformation of Alabama Barker and how a lot of affluent white girls lately have been, if they're not over trying to be Muslim, they're becoming ghetto. And I say becoming because you look at Bad Baby and then compare her background where she actually was ghetto and hood to Alabama. Let's just look at the comparison of their first two music videos.
Money green like a sea low. Yeah, my pocket's so swollen.
This is another bop.
Look, these hoes be like it, see me in the back and they talking, but don't say it in person. Won't catch me off guard on no boulevard.
So she's been ghetto for a while. This is her as a teenage girl.
You in a trailer, hope you can't compete. I'm riding solo, don't need no one but me. Run up a check,
Let me run in these streets. Look at this. Pure, innocent, cute, adorable. Beautiful voice. Doves flying. Wow. Wow. Beautiful. That's how Alabama started. That was the direction that she was going as a music artist. But now this is her now in the diss track that she made for Bad Baby. And I'm not going to play the audio because it's doing a little too much. But can we just play like this snippet? I just want people to catch the energy of this girl. See, now she's hood. How did she become hood? Bruh. I'm confused. Like, I don't understand why hood culture gets elevated in the way that it does. And I'm not saying that, being rich made her better than other people, but it was a culture that didn't lead to the death of many people in the way that rap culture has and like this hood culture has. So it's just interesting to me to see the transition of then versus now, especially when you take into consideration that Travis Barker is worth $50 million at least. That's what it says on the internet. Odds are he's worth a lot more. And also part of why she's as famous as she is now is Travis Barker is now married to Kourtney Kardashian, who's worth at least $65 million. So between your parents and your dad and your stepmom, or your stepmom, I'm sure your mom is probably rich too. Your family is worth well over $100 million. My whole point of why I'm bringing this to your attention today is why don't people take their nepotism and go? Take your bag and go. Because there's a conversation about cultural appropriation that could be had here. And I don't really like the idea of cultural appropriation when we're talking about race, because I feel like all races are influenced by each other at this point. But what this is cultural appropriation of is you are appropriating broke people's business. You are acting like a hood rat. You are acting like a delinquent. You are not acting like daddy's little girl. You are not acting like the girl with the trust fund. You are sitting here acting like you have no choice but to be for the streets. Why are you being for the streets? If I grew up in a situation like Alabama Barker did, I would be so classy and so above this. But instead, you are beefing with a girl all over the internet who somehow managed to beef with you while fighting cancer, having a baby, dealing with postpartum, and still made a hit record that destroyed your career and credibility. I just do not get it. And, you know, one of the bigger themes of this whole situation is you can't convince me that our country is racist when you have rich white women bending over backwards and forward to try to be accepted into Black culture. If we're going to be so honest about it, if we're going to be so for real, because again, I don't like equating ghetto culture to Black culture, but let's be so for real. There's an element that is intersectional there. And when it comes to this rap culture that both of them are, well, I would say Alabama is cosplaying, but Bad Baby, she's really about it. She has been ghetto for a very long time. This girl had no choice but to be ghetto, it seems like. But Alabama Barker, why is this the element of rap or Black culture or urban culture that you are so inspired by? I just wish we would stop uplifting losers. And I wish that we would stop glorifying loser behavior. I feel like our society would be a lot better off. We are really doomed as a society when you have people who are from families worth at least 9 figures, and this is the direction that they decide to take their life. So it's just interesting to me. You get what I mean? You get what I mean, Mr. Rodriguez?
I get what you mean. It's quite interesting how all this stuff kind of spiraled out of control. I never thought that I would see a battle like this take place between Bad Baby and Alabama Barker. Now this is quite a matchup, you asked me.
Quite a matchup.
Quite a
crazy.
matchup.
It is. It's ghetto white girls galore. Now, when it comes to white culture, because a lot of people debate whether or not white culture is a thing because it's not a collective culture, but what I would say is straight up white culture, at least European culture. I want to know, what is stopping white people from bringing this aesthetic back? Can we bring up this right here? That is a look. This is peak white culture. The things I would do for a look like that, what is stopping rich white people from dressing like this? I'm so for real. If you think I wouldn't wear that around New York, then you don't know me. This is so tea. Look at this. Look at this. Alabama, you should be dressing like this, girl. Alabama, you can afford this look. Donatella Versace would make that for you. Show my favorite. Show my girl Mary. Mary Antoinette serving looks. Alabama Barker, this could be you. Mr. Rodriguez, these new sound effects are scary.
Brought them out especially for you.
But okay, very scary all up in my earpiece, child. But look at Mary Antoinette. Serving looks, serving tea. What is stopping rich white people from bringing this back? I don't need to see rich white people acting like poor... Y'all ain't gonna catch me slipping. I don't need to see rich white women acting like poor ghetto goblins all over the internet. I think that your father deserves better. Shout out to Travis Barker. Moving along to something a little more serious, I want to talk about this trifling wench, Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony. So, some of y'all might be too young to remember. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was during the height of my childhood, and I was so invested in this case. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with this foul individual, I'm trying so hard to keep my words clean here because there's so many things that I could call her. This is one of the most evil people I've ever seen. And I'm so serious. So if you're unfamiliar, back in 2008, Casey Anthony was a 22-year-old single mother from Orlando, Florida, and she was charged with first-degree murder of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. So on July 15th, 2008, Kaylee was reported missing by her grandmother, who noted that Casey's car smelled like a dead body had been inside. Now, mind you, Casey claimed that Kaylee, her daughter, was kidnapped by a nanny, but that was quickly debunked. Later on, Kaylee, the daughter's remains were found in December of 2008 near the family's home with a roll of duct tape near her skull. But her body was so decomposed that they could not determine the clear cause of death, and it was ruled homicide by undetermined means. So the trial began back on May 24th, 2011, where prosecutors alleged that Casey used chloroform and duct tape to kill Kaylee, and that this was motivated by her wanting freedom from parenthood and citing that she wanted to go out and party and all these different lies that were going on around Casey's story, which never from day one added up. So the defense, though, claimed that Kaylee accidentally drowned in the family pool and that Casey's father, George, covered it up. But of course, those allegations were later denied. So after 33 days of testimony, the jury acquitted Casey of murder and aggravated child abuse and manslaughter on July 5th, 2011. And it was because they found insufficient evidence beyond reasonable doubt. So she was convicted instead of 4 misdemeanor counts of lying to police, serving a short sentence with serving a short sentence with limited time served. Now, there are so many details, and the deeper you go into that situation, the more you realize that this woman is very much giving guilty allegedly, but according to the court, she's not. So let me be careful in my rhetoric and not call her everything that I want to, because I don't want her to sue me now that she's back in the public eye. But everything points to the allegation that the jury got this completely wrong. Now, what's so wild and why this woman is back in public eye, because she has just spent years living this super quiet life in Florida, completely under the radar, banished from society, as she should have remained for the rest of her life. If anything, she should have left the country, but she stayed here. And the way that this woman decided to come back into the public eye is the craziest thing I think I have seen all year. Right when the PR for the LGBT community could not get any worse, Casey Anthony has decided to put her name in the hat.
I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this...
Give a voice to your daughter.
There are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur. As a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008.
I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. When all evidence points to you, and you still are such a narcissist that you really think that anybody views you as inspirational. You think that you're the person that people want to get legal advice and advocacy from. Are you deranged? Casey Anthony. Ho. You will never escape the horrors of what you allegedly did. And no matter what way you try to look at this, because first of all, when did she become a lesbian? You allegedly killed your baby and then went and became a lesbian and thought that that was just going to clean everything up for you. Like, I do not get it. And how powerful is the umbrella of gay activism that you think that people are just going to overlook all of your allegations because you're now on the LGBT spectrum? You and everybody else at this point, it feels like, on the internet. Like, come on now. This is just disgusting. And there's people who are arguing that she deserves a second chance and that she deserves a chance to be, back in the public eye and not have to hide in obscurity for the rest of her life. Do I really even need to say much more? Like, how repulsive is that? And even if, let's say she's really just that delusional and has fully convinced herself that she is innocent, because which wouldn't even make sense, because why were you telling so many lies to the police? You really are that just tone deaf that you have decided to come forward and try to be this advocate. This is the grift of all grifts. This is one of the most repulsive grifts that I've seen in a long time. This is worse than Joy Reid and anything Joy Reid has done. This woman is a literal... Ain't gonna sue me, ho. This is an alleged murderer. And at the very least, she's an unfit mother. And that I can say without saying allegedly. And I find this really, really disgusting. And anybody that is supporting Casey Anthony trying to come back into the public eye, I don't think that you've done your research. And I beseech you to do so before you ever share another video of hers on my timeline. I hope to never see this woman again. And I hope you don't either. Moving along. Speaking of something that nobody thought they were going to see again, let's talk about the Oscars. Yes, it is still a thing. You know, the Oscars were relatively unproblematic. I will say that. They didn't do too many things that irritated my soul this year. I thought some of the winners were questionable, but I also didn't watch all the films, so I'm not going to really sit and argue. I know a lot of people felt like Ariana Grande was snubbed by Miss Zoe Saldana, I think is how you say her last name. She was up there on stage like, mommy. Like, girl, you are a grown-ass woman. Oh, sorry. Let me curse on the You are a grown woman. You don't need to be up there crying for your mommy. Like, I get it. Thank your mother. Give your mother her flowers. But don't get on stage. Mommy. Like, ew. You're like 40. Be so for real. But child, anyway, so one of the videos that really irritated my soul was this joke. I forgot what this guy's name is, but like Conan or something. Conan O'Brien, I think is his name. And he got on stage and said this.
Well, we're halfway through the show, which means it's time for Kendrick Lamar to come out and call Drake a pedophile.
Oh, this is so cringe. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. It's this. Oh, do you ever just like cringe? Oh, the way he's just. Oh, the cringe. First of all, what's really annoying to me is how we've really desensitized the word pedophile. And there's such real world implications of that term. And I feel like, especially with the whole Not Like Us song by Kendrick Lamar, which is what he's referring to. I'm sure you guys have heard it, whether for or against your will at this point. I really don't think that that's a term we should be playing with. And no, I'm not trying to police speech. It's just really disturbing to me that when we talk about pedophiles now, people think that that's a joke. People think that that's something that we should key about, as if we're not simultaneously fighting for our lives to try to get the Epstein and Diddy files. Speaking of that, it's annoying and bizarre to me that Drake is just getting this public lashing. I really want to know, what did Drake do? Or what are they mad at Drake for that has him now being called a pedophile at the Grammys, at the Oscars, during the Super Bowl? You name the platform, Drake has been called a pedophile at this point. And I don't even know if I can be saying that on YouTube. I'm going to start saying PDF file again like I usually do. But they're going around saying this everywhere, and that is so bizarre to me. What has Drake done? I have not seen any credible evidence. I have seen evidence of him being creepy. I'm sure Drake is a bit creepy, but it really doesn't sit well with me that they are going around giving him this public lashing. Where is that energy at with P. Diddy? Where is that evidence at with Epstein? I don't see them making any jokes about Epstein. And the one time actually that I do remember, I want to say it was the Golden Globes, the one time that there was a joke made about Epstein and just all of his accomplices, everybody in the room was dead silent because they all knew that there's probably tea on them somewhere. So it's like, at a time where we are so desperately trying to get the Epstein and the Diddy files, why are you up there talking about Drake? If you know something about Drake that we don't, then I want to see the receipts. I want to see the receipts. I want a victim to truly come forward. I want to know the reality of why are we giving Drake a worse public lashing than any of you have been willing to give P. Diddy or Epstein or Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby or Cardi B after all these years. These people have either admitted, been caught, or have had evidence come against them that is extremely credible. And I do not hear any conversations about them being PDF files, but y'all want us to point and laugh at Drake? Please. I'm tired. I'm packed. I'm over it. It's not funny. And I'm surprised people are making it into a race issue since that's a white man talking about a black man. But Drake is Jewish, so I don't think that they're gonna defend him, because you know how these people keep beefing with the Jews. The Jews can't have any peace. I'm so sorry to the Jewish community. Y'all can't have no peace. Speaking of which, No Other Land. Let's talk about No Other Land really quick. This documentary, that won documentary of the year, these people went up on stage and they gave this extremely self-righteous speech about basically calling Israel the problem, which I just find it funny how these people continue to try to make it seem like Israel is the problem. But notice how you don't see any videos of people from Israel raping, terrorizing, or kidnapping Palestinians, but you see it the other way around. There are tens of thousands of hours of footage, actually, of the people want me to say Hamas, but literally Hamas is supported by and backed by and has membership consisting of Palestinians. Not saying all Palestinians are bad, but a lot of y'all are complacent with what's happening over there. And a lot of the Palestinians were citizens in Gaza were the ones who were doing the kidnapping. Oh yeah, I've seen that tea. I've seen those videos. But you continuously try to make it seem like Israel is the bad guy. And the way that all these people in Hollywood are sitting there clapping, and I'm not even gonna play the clip because it's so nauseating, but they were sitting there clapping with about this narrative portraying Israel as the culprit of all the problems that are over there. And it's just so funny to me how deep the conspiracies against Jewish people in Israel are. If Jews really controlled everything like these people claim, and these crazy musty ghetto anti-Semites claim, then why is it that Hollywood, one of the most influential propaganda think tanks out there, is constantly hating on Israel and spreading anti-Semitism? I just find that weird. And then there was a little bit more self-righteousness with this whole what is it? Let's play the clip of the land. This woman talking about Native American ancestral land.
We gather in celebration of the Oscars on the ancestral lands of the Tongva, Tataviam, and Chumash peoples, the traditional caretakers of this water and land. We honor and pay our respects to indigenous communities here and around the world.
Bruh. Then give it back. If it is so sacred, then give it back. And I want to find that annoying because, mind you, fun fact, I'm actually more Native American than I am African American, so don't even try to come for me on that. Oh yes, I am very mixed, and Chinese too, 2%. Wow, no bars. When you're talking about how you're on, basically saying we're on stolen land, because she said ancestral, but she really wanted to say we're on stolen land. Okay, then give it back. I made a video today. I'm like, okay, we're all on stolen land. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Okay, at this point, I'm over it. I'm over this whole thing that we're supposed to sit here and have pity for Native Americans. What happened was terrible. But what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Go give my apartment to the Choctaw? But I will say, as boring as the Oscars always is, it was relatively unproblematic. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I find them insufferable, but they gave a beautiful performance. And then I did want to, speaking of Wicked, I want to shout out to this girl, Marissa Bode, I want to say is how you say her name. She was in Wicked. Doesn't she look so lovely? I just wanted to give her a shout out. Because when we talk about the body positivity movement, this is what I'm talking about. This girl looks so beautiful up there. She looks elegant. She looks poised. And what I like is that with this look, it's not hiding that she has a wheelchair and making a whole statement about it. But at the same time, it's not hiding the wheelchair, but it's also not making this whole statement about her having a wheelchair. It's like, not that I'm making the wheelchair the forefront of it, but it's like when we're acknowledging body positivity, I love this. She looks great. And this is the type of inclusivity that I like to see. This is a talented actress here from overseas who looks beautiful, who is she deserves to be in the room. And she lit up the room with the way that she presented herself. I love that kind of body positivity. And when it comes to body negativity, I love that too. Oh yes, let's get into that. Lizzo. Let's talk about Lizzo. She looks great. I know y'all thought I was going to read her for filth, but no, because for those who have followed me and been my cousin for a while, you know that I've had a back and forth exchange. Well, by back and forth, it's mostly been me harassing her. And then she blocked me. And then I dragged her again and went viral, dragging her again. But I have read Lizzo for filth multiple times because what irritates me about Lizzo is that for so long, she has made this entire platform about being a woman of width. And like bragging about how big her back is, and talking about like how her username is Lizzo Be Eating, and she was constantly trying to make us see and glorify how unhealthy of a lifestyle she was living, and then proceeding to gaslight us and make it seem like, oh no, I actually live a healthy life, when clearly it didn't show. And all of that body negativity that we gave her, all of the harassment that we gave her, like, girl, push a plate away, eat a salad. Shout out to pears. It's been working. And, you know, I'm not saying that bullying is the greatest thing in the world, but I do feel like Lizzo is probably happier. She certainly is healthier, I hope. And I hope she lost this weight in a healthy way. But she looked phenomenal up there compared to how big her back used to be. This is what happens when you stop romanticizing and glamorizing unhealthy lifestyles. People become healthier. So, Lizzo, you looked beautiful. She still got me blocked. But hopefully she's blocking those carbs now, too. Let me stop being goofy, because we have a goofy of the day. Hasan Piker, you're the goofy of the day. So those of you who have the pleasure of not knowing who Hasan Piker is, he's this very popular, musty Twitch streamer. And it was a huge... Bruh. Who picked that picture? Mr. Rodriguez, y'all don't know Will yet. Those two back there, when they pull these photos, child... I mean, but that personifies him pretty well. Hasan Piker just recently, just yesterday, got temporarily banned from Twitch because of basically calling for, not even basically, literally calling for direct violence against Rick Scott, a U.S. sitting Congress member. Let's play the clip.
People who are covered by Medicaid now going to potentially lose Medicaid coverage as a result of this?
We're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. What we are going to do is go into those programs and carve out the fraud, waste, and abuse and find efficiencies. Couple of examples. You know, there's about $50 billion estimated that are lost every year in Medicaid just in fraud alone.
That fraud is not coming from individuals. It's coming from providers. They're not tackling providers. They're not actually going after like false billing. They are trying to cut recipients. If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. The reason why I'm saying if you cared about Medicare or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott is because, and not make him a prominent part of the Republican Party.
Oh.
Is that not insane? First of all, don't tell me anything about January 6th when you're out here calling for the murder of an elected official. You're literally up here saying that you are trying to encourage your deranged, delusional followers to go out and to seek violence. Okay, this is much more direct than anything that I heard about J6 when it comes to calling for violence, because you are implying to your audience that that is what they should do. And in the era of Luigi Manchin and how he went out and killed the United Healthcare CEO and is now trying to lead this movement of attacking and killing people that you don't like, this is horrifying. This is really horrifying. Again, don't say a word about J6 ever again. Hasan Piker notoriously has some of the worst takes of anybody in the political media space, and I'm not kidding. I don't think I can think of anybody who has worse political takes than him. It's actually wild. And then he put a statement out on Twitter where he doubled down on everything that he just said and completely meant it, saying, I'm sorry, I'll choose my words carefully next time and say if Mike Johnson cares about Medicare fraud, yada, yada, he'll call for max punishment for a current Florida GOP senator, former Governor Rick Scott, who has done the most Medicare fraud in U.S. history. Okay, it's one thing. You don't have to like every politician, but I can't stand AOC. I would never in my life encourage anybody to harm her. In fact, just to show I'm not a hypocrite, I was mad when she was getting harassed, when they were calling her a big booty Latina. I was one of the first people on Twitter from the right who was like, this is not cute. Don't go, like, we're not going to normalize sexually harassing her just because we don't agree with her politics. Like that's just not what we're going to do. We are a civilized society. We are not Hamas. We don't go and I need to stop saying that word. I need to stop saying words that's going to get me kicked off this platform, chair. We should be better than this. Hasan Piker, the bar is already in hell for you, though, because this is the same man who got on his platform and basically said that America deserved 9/11, saying that our foreign policy was the reason that 9/11 happened and that we had it coming. This is the same guy who defended the BLM looting and all the riots that happened, but said nothing about the black communities and businesses that were destroyed. This is the same man who supported all the riots that happened in France and destroyed one of the most beautiful nations on the planet Earth. And this is also somebody who's constantly preaching about socialism and glamorizing socialism, yet lives in a multi-million-dollar mansion. It's like, please, you are such a hypocrite. You are one of the grifters of the decade. If we're going to be so for real, you talk about socialism, but then you sit and you get on this stream and you tell all these radical ideas to your idiotic followers. I've never met a fan of Hasan Piker that could put together an intelligible sentence. Please, you have one of the worst audiences, and it's because of the rhetoric that you spew. And that is the same kind of rhetoric that got President Trump shot last summer. It is the same rhetoric that he just put towards Rick Scott that got our now sitting president shot and got 3 attempted murders. It's because of this extremist rhetoric. And notice how it's constantly coming from the left. Yes, there are some fringe people on the right that majority of conservatives have completely disassociated from and do not claim those people. But Hasan Piker is one of the most prominent left-wing pundits. And he's out here saying that what should happen is for Rick Scott to die. That is insane. That is beyond goofy. That is just disgusting. There's a lot of disgusting people in this episode. Moving along. One last thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about this situation where this girl, Alicia Ortiz, a 19-year-old UConn freshman, is now suing Hartford Public Schools, the city of Hartford, and her special needs case manager, Tita Santiago, ever since December 2024. Now, what's interesting about this, so the story here is that Miss Alicia, she claims that she graduated with honors, a 3.5 GPA, back in June 2024, but she is functionally illiterate, meaning she cannot read or write at a functional level, and that it's due to the school neglecting her needs. Now, part of why this matters is it really exposes the broken political system that we have kids in that is failing them. So while they're handing out these diplomas like they're participation trophies, you have people like her that are falling through the cracks. So a little bit more about her story. So I read that since first grade, she has had dyslexia, ADHD, a speech impediment, and that she can't properly recognize letters or numbers. And then by middle school, she was reading at a kindergarten level, and that her red flags were being ignored, and that she has spent many years trying to get more help. But instead of getting her more help, they've pretty much just given her like tech like resources that allowed her to skate her way through. So she ended up graduating again with a 3.5 GPA using text to speech app, and speech to text apps as well, which a lot of those can actually just be used to help you find the answers, and that she never really had to learn how to read or write because she had technology helping her along the way. This is also something that I find concerning about ChatGPT, how a lot of students are using it. And not to sound like a hypocrite, because if I had ChatGPT when I was in school, I definitely would have been using it too. But I certainly would have made sure I knew what I was doing so that on test day, I was going to be able to pass still, because I never had a B growing up in my academia. And the thing is, though, is I was getting tested all the time. This girl, she says that she was only tested on her last day of school. So she used these speech to text apps and never had to learn how to read or write. But the lawsuit is actually interesting, because what it's really having to do is with the negligence and emotional distress that she says that she dealt with from Hartford School District, and particularly from her case manager, her special needs case manager, Tilda. What is her name? Tilda or Tilda? Tilda. From Tilda. And it's a lawsuit where she seeks $3 million for negligence and emotional distress. And I have so many questions about that. But first of all, let's unpack just the wasteful spending here, because I'm sitting here listening to this. Like, how do you graduate with a 3.5 GPA if you literally can't read or write? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me in any sort of context. And I'm like, is their school struggling that much financially? And I looked, and no, their school district is actually giving their students almost twice the national average of funding, or their school district is getting nearly twice the amount of national funding compared to every other student. They're getting about $33,000 per pupil. So they definitely don't have a shortage of funds. Hartford School District's getting $450 million for their roughly 16,000 students. And this is the result: having kids graduate who can't read. And this is why we need an entire restructuring of our educational system. Because what do you mean you're getting $500 million for only 16,000 kids and you still have kids graduating who can't read? That is a joke. That is an absolute joke. And they talk so much about progressive equity and this obsession with handing out unearned achievements, unearned grades. And it's really cheating these kids of the opportunity to get a proper education. And it's really sending our entire nation backwards. Because for this girl to have graduated with honors without being able to read or write, this is why we are tanking when it comes to global rankings in education. What does this future look like if we can't even read? But as far as the lawsuit itself, I find the lawsuit a bit weird, because the lawsuit doesn't even have to do with the failures of them teaching her. The lawsuit has more to do with the emotional distress that she dealt with from her school district, saying that she was bullied and yelled at and all these different things because she wasn't an adequate student, essentially. Which I look at that, I'm like, there has to be some personal accountability there, because nobody was forcing her, I would assume, to use technology as a crutch to get through school. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there with dyslexia who find other means of being able to read properly. So, and again, that's not quite a part of the lawsuit, but it has more to do with emotional distress. And to me, that looks like, I don't know if that's an excuse, because that's an easier lawsuit for you to win. But if you want $3 million for your feelings, I could not possibly disagree anymore with the premise of this lawsuit. But if your lawsuit has really an undertone of the fact that you weren't taught and that you were giving scholarships and academic achievements and honors because of trying to shove every kid through the school system rather than actually teaching you, that is something I could get behind. So I'm going to be following this a bit to see if any more pieces of information come out about it. But it really just goes to show that diplomas often mean nothing anymore, and that these kids are graduating to go absolutely nowhere, which is, again, why the work of PragerU is so important. The work of PragerU Kids is so important. They don't teach financial literacy in school these days. They barely teach history in school these days. And according to this, they don't even teach how to read and write in schools these days. The bar is as low as it possibly could be if you have students graduating with honors who cannot read or write. So I'm very proud of the work that PragerU Kids is doing and trying to give, academics more resources to give to their students, giving more teachers the tools and more parents the tools to teach their kids at home, because a lot of education does need to be happening in the home again. So hopefully, with all the changes happening in our country, we are able to see a big turnaround when it comes to our education system. But until then, PragerU Kids, PragerU.com, we've got you covered. And again, it is double match season. Every donation that you guys give to PragerU is a tax-deductible donation, and it will be double matched this month. You give $1, we'll make it $2. Thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Respectfully Xavier. Again, please take advantage of our double match offer going on. We have a poll in our description to see how you guys are enjoying the show so far. I would love to see your feedback and what you guys like and do not like to hear, because, child, we know it is a range of topics here on Respectfully Xavier. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's the only way we grow around here. And I appreciate you, my cousins. I'll see you on Thursday.